I want to tell you about the morning I tried to open a jar of pasta sauce. And I couldn't. Not because I was weak, not because the lid was stuck. My hands just wouldn't do it anymore. I was 71 years old. And I thought, this is just what getting old feels like. I was wrong. And in 10 days, I found out exactly why. My name is Norma. I spent 35 years as a bookkeeper in Louisville, Kentucky. Numbers were my whole life. Organized, precise, logical. So when my body started falling apart in my late 60s, I expected a logical explanation. Instead, what I got were 3 separate doctors telling me 3 different things. One said it was arthritis. One said it was age-related fatigue. The third handed me a pamphlet about calcium supplements and showed me the door. Here's what my mornings actually looked like. I would wake up and my hands were stiff. Not sore exactly, just thick and uncooperative. Like they hadn't gotten the message that it was time to wake up. By 10 in the morning, even after coffee, I felt like I was moving through wet cement. My knees ached going down the stairs, and by 2 in the afternoon, I was done, finished, sitting in my chair wondering how I was going to cook dinner. My husband Earl would look at me from across the room, and I could see the worry in his face. He didn't say anything. He's not the type. But I saw it. And I kept telling myself, Norma, you're 70. This is just what 70 feels like. It wasn't. The moment that finally pushed me to do something was actually embarrassing to admit. I was at my neighbor Connie's house. We've been friends for 22 years, and we were in her kitchen making lunch together, the way we do every Thursday. She asked me to open the pickle jar. I tried, and I just couldn't. I tried again. My hands were shaking slightly, and I had to hand it back to her. Connie didn't say a word. She just opened it and kept talking like nothing happened. But I went home that afternoon, and I sat at my kitchen table, and I cried. Because I knew something wasn't right. 2 weeks later, I was at my regular checkup, and I told my doctor everything. The fatigue, the stiffness, the hands, the afternoon crashes. He listened. And then he said something I did not expect. He said, Norma, before we talk about anything else, I want to ask you one question. Tell me exactly what you eat in a typical day. So I told him. Oatmeal with brown sugar and orange juice for breakfast. A sandwich on white bread for lunch. Something reasonable for dinner. And usually a few crackers in the afternoon. He nodded slowly. And then he said, I think I know exactly what's happening here. And the answer isn't a new medication. It's one ingredient you're eating every day without realizing it. I want to tell you what that ingredient was, but first, let me tell you what I did about it. He explained it to me in plain language. He said that after 60, our bodies become much more sensitive to something called refined sugar. Not just the sugar we put in our coffee, but the hidden sugar in bread, crackers, condiments, cereals, even the healthy granola I'd been buying for years. He said that for a body my age, that kind of sugar causes quiet inflammation throughout the joints. He called it low-grade chronic inflammation, meaning it never fully flares up, but it never fully goes away either. And it drains your energy the same way a slow leak drains a tire. Gradually, every single day. Modern researchers are investigating how this type of ongoing inflammation may be a major driver of fatigue and stiffness in adults over 60. He gave me a simple challenge. He said, "Cut added sugar as much as you can for 10 days, real food only, and then call me." I went home and told Earl. He said, "Norma, if the doctor said try it, let's try it." So we did. Here is exactly what I changed. And I want to be clear, none of this was extreme. I was not starving myself. I was not on some complicated plan. First, I read every label. I was shocked. My whole wheat bread had 5 grams of added sugar per slice. My salad dressing had 8 grams. The crackers I thought were harmless had more sugar than a cookie. Records suggest that the average American adult unknowingly consumes the equivalent of 17 teaspoons of added sugar every single day. I had no idea I was doing that. Second, I changed my breakfast. Instead of oatmeal with brown sugar and juice, I started having 2 eggs, half an avocado, and a small handful of blueberries. That was it. Simple. Nothing fancy. Everything from my regular Kroger. Third, I replaced my afternoon crackers. Instead of crackers, I started having a small bowl of plain Greek yogurt with a few walnuts. No sweetener. It tasted strange for 2 days. By day 3, I actually looked forward to it. Fourth, I drank more water. My doctor had mentioned that even mild dehydration in seniors can mimic joint pain and fatigue. So I started keeping a glass of water on my kitchen counter and drinking a glass before every meal. Fifth, I stopped all sugary condiments for 10 days. Ketchup, store-bought barbecue sauce, the sweet salad dressings. I used olive oil and lemon instead. Earl complained once, just once. Now, figuring all of this out on my own took me weeks of reading and guessing and calling Connie at all hours. I later came across something called the 60-Plus Vitality Blueprint, and I genuinely wish I had found it at the beginning. It had everything laid out already. Meal plans designed for bodies like mine, ingredient swaps, even a printable tracker for blood sugar and blood pressure. Everything from regular grocery stores, nothing complicated. I'll come back to it at the end, but first, let me tell you about the part that truly surprised me. What happened around day 6 of those 10 days was something I did not see coming. And honestly, it had nothing to do with my joints at first. By day 4, I noticed I wasn't crashing at 2 in the afternoon. I didn't think much of it. I figured maybe I'd just slept better. By day 6, I woke up and my hands felt different. Not perfect, but different. Less stiff, more like mine again. I opened the kitchen cabinet and didn't even think about it. I just did it. Earl was watching from the doorway. He said, "Norma, you've been moving differently this week." I hadn't told him what day it was of my little experiment. He just noticed on his own. But here's the part that genuinely surprised me. And that surprised my doctor too when I called him. I told him my hands felt better. He said that tracks with what he expected. Then I told him something else. I said, "My mind feels clearer." And he got quiet for a moment. He said physicians have observed that in older adults, the brain is affected by blood sugar fluctuations in the same way the joints are, just more quietly. When blood sugar spikes and crashes all day, the brain doesn't get a steady supply of what it needs to stay sharp. I had been walking around in a fog for 2 years and blaming my age. Part of it, a real part, was the sugar. Stay with me, because the next part is the one I almost didn't include in this story. I thought it was too small to mention, but looking back, it may have been the most important shift of all. By day 10, I called my doctor as promised. He asked me to rate my stiffness on a scale of 1 to 10. Before the 10 days, I would have said a 7 most mornings. That day I told him, maybe a 3. He said, "Norma, let's keep going." So we did. I didn't go back to the old way. Now here is the small thing I almost didn't mention. Around week 3, Connie came over on a Thursday as usual. We were in the kitchen again. She put the pickle jar on the counter and didn't say a word, just stepped back and watched. I opened it. First try. She looked at me and said, "What did you do?" I told her everything. By the following Monday, Connie had cleaned out her own pantry. She called me from the grocery store at 9 in the morning to ask which yogurt to buy. I spent 20 minutes on the phone with her in the dairy aisle. 6 weeks later, she told me her afternoon headaches, the ones she'd been having for 4 years, were almost completely gone. What I want you to take from this is simple. I did not do anything dramatic. I did not go on a strict diet. I did not join a gym. I did not spend money on supplements. I removed one category of ingredient from my daily eating for 10 days. My hands work again. My energy is steady. My mind is clearer. And for the first time in 3 years, I feel like myself. Let me quickly bring it all together, because I know how much information that was. Here is what actually worked in 5 simple points. 1. Hidden added sugar in everyday foods was quietly feeding joint inflammation and fatigue in my body every single day. 2. Reading labels revealed the problem was coming from things I considered healthy: bread, crackers, dressings, cereals. 3. Replacing those foods with protein, healthy fat, and real fruit stabilized my energy within 4 days. 4. Drinking more water before meals helped more than I expected with both the stiffness and the brain fog. And 5. It took 10 days, just 10 days to feel a real difference. Not months, not years, 10 days. You don't have to overhaul your entire life. You just have to start with one honest look at what's on your label. The evening I called Connie from the grocery store dairy aisle, I also sent her a link to something called the 60+ Vitality Blueprint. It's the guide I wish someone had handed me before I spent all those months confused and exhausted. It has meal plans built specifically for people our age, not for 35-year-olds. It has a 12-week gentle movement program with 3 different levels, so you start where you are. And it has a printable tracker for blood pressure, blood sugar, and weekly progress. The kind of thing a bookkeeper like me actually loves. Everything is from regular grocery stores. No expensive specialty foods. No complicated instructions. The link is in the description below. And if today's story helped you, even a little, would you share it with one person you care about? A sister? A neighbor? Someone who might need to hear that it's not all just getting old. Take care of yourself. You deserve to feel good.